This week on ANN, Adventists in Europe recognize the 75th anniversary of the Auschwitz liberation.
ADRA steps in after major flooding in parts of Brazil.
And the Adventist Church in Inter-America encourages their members to stay healthy.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, it has been 75 years since the liberation of Auschwitz by Soviet troops on January 27, 1945. Few survivors remain. It is a horror that has haunted history and blemished Europe.
Adventists played a small part in that story, some hiding and protecting Jews, some ending up in the death camps themselves.
Auschwitz symbolizes the horror of the Nazi death camps and the genocide that destroyed 6 million innocent lives. Adventists were not immune to the horror.
In a moving documentary that highlights Adventist mission in the Trans-European Division across 90 years, Adventist Church President of the region, Rafat Kamal, shares stories of hope and courage that still inspire us to mission today.
Among those stories is the testimony of Polish Union President Ryszard Jankowski. He recounts how 9 of his family members were incarcerated in Auschwitz and Ravensbrück because they faithfully kept the Sabbath. Most of them died there.
In Hungary, Laszlo Mikne saved the lives of over 50 Jews, hiding them in church properties with church members and working to help them escape.
Mikne built up a clandestine network for the rescue of Jews. His faithful wife, Jolan, a mother of Israel, supported him wholeheartedly.
Central to his rescue operation was the Adventist Church building on Siki Bertalan Street, near the Jewish ghetto. In a range of small rooms, corridors, and corners of this building, in cellars, attics, under the stairways, and behind the stage, the fearless pastor kept in hiding a number of Jews, codenamed U-boats. He made no distinction between Adventists of Jewish descent or Jews. Mikne tried to help everyone who asked.
If you visit the Adventist Church headquarters in Riga, Latvia, and you will find a small Star of David in the pavement outside the building. Scattered across the city, the stars are memorials to the brave citizens who hid or helped Jews during the Nazi occupation.
Not far up the road, another star is found outside a simple timber frame building where 2 Adventist sisters lived in an upstairs apartment. They took in a 17-year-old Jewish boy, sheltering him at great risk to their own lives. Their kindness led to his acceptance of Christianity. Isak Klimanis eventually became a minister and one of Latvia's most effective soul winners.
Riga, Latvia. A beautiful city, a wonderful place to visit, but sometimes visitors are not so welcome. That was certainly the case in 1941 when the Nazis invaded, and very shortly after, the Jews were in trouble. Isak Klimanis was one of them. At just 17 years old, he was rounded up with other Jewish men to be taken to the forest and shot. His mother pretended he was 14 and pleaded with the young policeman. They let him go, but shortly after he was moved to a farm near Riga that supplied the German army. It was a merciless time. Isak's lost his entire family, recalling that his sister and baby were killed with just 1 bullet. But there were those filled with mercy.
Occupation of Nazis, hided Hebrew.
Among them, 2 Adventist sisters who lived in a flat in a small wooden house.
We are in Riga. Here behind me is a wooden house there in the 2nd floor. During Nazi occupation, 2 Adventist ladies hid Jewish young man, Isak Klimanis. Later he became a Seventh-day Adventist pastor. He escaped from Holocaust. All his relatives were perished during that Holocaust, and he escaped a farm nearby here in the suburb of Riga. Of course, Germans hunted after him, but they couldn't find him. Isak Klimanis, he lost his family, all his relatives during Holocaust, but he found Jesus Christ, or we may say Jesus Christ found him, and later he became a Seventh-day Adventist pastor.
Those 2 sisters put their own lives at risk to save Isak's. They saw many miracles, but for them the greatest miracle was in 1949 when Isaks chose to be baptized. The church was his new family, and even through the extreme difficulties of the communist era, he remained faithful to God. Not only a good pastor, he taught Hebrew to ministers. wrote articles for Adventist newspapers and magazines, and was regularly invited as a Holocaust survivor to speak of his experiences. Before his death in 2007, he even had opportunity to meet Queen Elizabeth II of England, sharing with her his life and values. A life well lived.
Adventist leadership in Poland published an official statement recognizing the historic horror of the Nazi death camps. In part, it states, on the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the board of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Republic of Poland, on behalf of all church members, would like to pay tribute in memory of all victims of this terrible crime. Auschwitz-Birkenau is one of the darkest pages in human history. This is the place where, using biblical symbolism, the blood of our brothers and sisters innocently shed on those grounds calls to God and to us to be remembered, and to God for justice at the last judgment.
The Inter-European Division also issued a statement to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. The statement says, "The Holocaust is part of our memory. It must not be forgotten. The evil spirit which drove to the Holocaust is still rampant today, and we must not risk that such an episode will be repeated. We must be vigilant and respect all people and their differences so that it will never happen again."
If you would like to watch more documentaries and hear more stories of Adventists during the Holocaust, you can visit the Trans-European Division's website at tedadventist.org.
Since the beginning of the week, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in the Espírito Santo region of Brazil has been helping families and communities affected by the rain that hit the south of the state on January 17th. Governor of Espírito Santo Renato Casagrande decreed a state of public emergency. About 20 ADRA employees mobilized to assist in the distribution of food, cleaning products, and mineral water, among other material needs, to the residents of the surrounding area. In the most affected cities, water has reached more than 9 inches in 24 hours. There were countless losses, including flooded houses, damaged cars, and fallen trees. ADRA officials also assisted in removing mud from homes and streets. Volunteers collected cleaning material, food, mineral water, furniture, clothes, and disposable products. In addition, they have also triggered the emergency response plan and will be able to benefit hundreds of people with donations totaling around $20,000 US. Those responsible for emergency management will meet with the Social Assistance Secretariat of Iconia to discuss the best way to distribute donations to displaced families.
More than 100 people from diverse faith traditions attended the second annual Religious Freedom Prayer Breakfast, hosted by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America, or the NAD. The event, held on January 16, recognized Religious Freedom Day in the U.S. and included prayer for elected officials, the community, the nation, for peace in places of worship, and for unity of spirit. Adventist, Jewish, Muslim, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and non-denominational Christians representatives offered the various petitions. Several of the NAD leaders participated through prayer and music. Special greetings from the governor's office were shared by Boyd Rutherford, Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. Jonathan L. Weaver, Senior Pastor of the Greater Mount Nebo African Methodist Episcopal Church and social justice advocate, delivered remarks during the prayer breakfast. This commemorative day dates back to 1786, but Director of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty for the NAD, Orlin Johnson, said religious freedom faces ongoing challenges in current public policy debates. Johnson invited those gathered to take the time to contemplate the religious freedom we enjoy, while recognizing that preserving or obtaining this freedom for future generations should be a concern of all citizens and all governments at all levels. 7 special prayers were offered during the event. A prayer for elected officials was given by Adrian Townsend Benton, an Adventist chaplain and lieutenant commander. Chaplain Corps U.S. Navy Vice President for the Adventist Church in North America, Bonita J. Shields, and Tony Ennobili each offered prayers. Shields prayed for religious freedom, while Ennobili closed the event with prayer for unity of spirit.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Inter-America opened its territory-wide health summit on January 22 by reminding administrators and health leaders to begin the new decade with a healthy heart dedicated to strengthening the church's health message in churches and communities.
Nearly 200 administrators and leaders from dozens of countries and islands met at Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, for what was promised to be a week full of lectures, workshops, and opportunities for networking among the core group.
Themed Your Brain, Your Body, Your Heart, the 4-day event reinforced the physical, mental, and spiritual health necessary for a successful health ministry throughout the region.
Elie Henry, president of the church in Inter-America, said the Health Summit was part of the Start of the Year in Inter-America, holding the banner of health high throughout the 24 major church regions in the IAD.
Dr. Peter Landless, Health Ministries Director for the Adventist World Church, spoke to the leadership on the importance of taking care of the heart and historical milestones in cardiologic developments.
Some 17.5 million people die from cardiovascular disease each year. Experts estimate that by the year 2030, some 23.6 million people will die annually from cardiovascular disease.
Dr. Landless touched on the benefits of keeping the heart safe, practicing forgiveness, optimism, an attitude of gratitude, knowing that you are loved, enjoying supportive relationships, and having a purpose in life.
The Health Summit will feature topics on rest and its benefits, curing high blood pressure in 4 weeks, diabetes and its risks, depression, mental health, and the Adventist philosophy of diet, nutrition, cancer prevention, and more.
We will be back next week with more from the Inter-America Division's Health Summit. In the meantime, you can visit interamerica.org for more information.
Coming up, a camporee in the Solomon Islands inspires young people to change the world.
But up next, Adventists in the Bahamas are still picking up the pieces after Hurricane Dorian.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. They can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
Residents and members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Bahamas are still dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian.
Dorian ripped through the Caribbean and Bahamas last August, killing at least 70 people and causing more than $3 billion of damage.
As part of the healing process, the New Providence Adventist Church in Nassau recently hosted lectures on psychological trauma. The lectures were organized by a collaborative effort with the church in the Atlantic Caribbean Union, the Inter-American Division, and professionals from Loma Linda University.
President of the Atlantic Caribbean Union, Peter Kerr, said, "I wake up in the middle of the night and the story of the people come back to my mind. The sights and sounds from their stories still haunt me. There are folks still looking for their loved ones, still waiting to have closure."
Kerr was addressing a group of more than 150 from other churches and the community to gain some insight as to how to cope with their new lives.
Assistant Professor of Psychiatry and Adult Psychiatry in Loma Linda, California, Dr. Ferez D. Roll, spoke on the long-term effects of trauma. Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Loma Linda University, Dr. Carlos Fayard, shared that the key message is that there is hope. He said, "Disaster shakes everything, including our faith, and many times we do not anticipate that. It's important you hold on to your faith, but you do what you need to do to get better. You see a therapist."
Dr. Fayard led group sessions during his lecture segment and together with Dr. Roll answered questions from the dozens gathered. Dr. Roll and Dr. Fayard also spoke to a group at the Freeport Adventist Church in Grand Bahamas.
Kerr said as soon as the government is able to permit reconstruction of churches, the plan is to rebuild in Marsh Harbor.
While basic relief and feeding programs have ended, there are several Seventh-day Adventists still staying in government shelters across Nassau, but they will be relocated by the end of the month. In addition, collaboration with Loma Linda University's psychological trauma team will continue throughout the year.
Current plans are to start rebuilding some homes with government-donated materials. A group of 20 construction workers from the Caribbean Union are coming to assist in the process.
More than 4,500 Pathfinders from across the Pacific Islands came together for the Trans-Pacific Union Mission Pathfinder Camporee over the year-end break near Honara, Solomon Islands.
With the theme, Hear the Call, the Camporee kicked off on December 16. The 119 clubs were warmly welcomed at the opening ceremony by Solomon Island Mission President Silent Tavosia.
The camporee was declared open during the official address by Solomon Island Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare. Other special guests included World Church Pathfinder Director Andres Peralta, South Pacific Division Youth Director Nick Cross, and Trans-Pacific Union Mission President Mavini Kaufananga. As part of the opening ceremony, Cross launched the World Changers Bible and challenged every Pathfinder to be a world changer for Jesus.
The 5-day event was held on Solomon Island Mission property next to the Lunga River. Sabbath was a special day where church members and Pathfinder leaders witnessed Pathfinders giving their lives to Christ in the waters of baptism. Initially, 19 Pathfinders were scheduled for baptism, but in total of 278 walked into the Lunga River for baptism.
During the closing of the camporee, the Tongan Pathfinders performed the Sipi Tau, a Tongan ceremonial war dance, as they invited Pathfinders for the next Trans-Pacific Union Mission Camporee in 2027, hosted by the Kingdom of Tonga.
Kaufananga said, "It is about living life with Jesus, who loves us so much that he gave his life for us. He is there beside us every day, calling us to walk with him. I would like to thank all the leaders, volunteers, and parents that see the enormous possibilities for the kingdom of God in the ministry of Pathfinders."
Students and staff at Mile High Academy, located in the U.S. state of Colorado, local churches, and the community joined together to honor the life of one of their students who tragically passed away. Maya Pena was killed after she left school on Tuesday, January 14.
On January 15, Mile High Academy's administration issued a statement. The statement read in part, "It is with profound sadness that Mile High Academy confirms the loss of one of our students. Our hearts go out to this family. We want the family to know that they are in our thoughts and prayers."
Mile High Academy is working closely with the Douglas County Sheriff's Department as they continue to investigate the tragedy. In the release statement, Academy administration shared that it will have grief counselors and pastors on hand to help students, staff, and families with this loss. They also hosted a prayer vigil on campus.
Rocky Mountain Conference President Ed Barnett visited the Adventist School on Wednesday and Thursday. He said, "Our hearts hurt for the parents and family of our student who is no longer with us. The way Mile High Academy students, staff, and local churches have come together speaks volumes to just how closely connected this community is, especially in times of sadness. We also want to say thank you to the counselors and the Douglas County Sheriff's Department for their assistance during this time. Please continue to pray for all involved."
Services for Pena were held on Monday, January 20th at 1:30 p.m. at Life Source Adventist Fellowship in Denver.
Coming up, Michael Yonker is here to tell us what happened this week in Adventist history.
But up next, Adventist Mission shares what happens when you give your offerings to mission.
God has always been in my life. I call him on all the things that he allows me to call him on by claiming the promises. One of them was when I was a little boy, I wanted a train set, but I didn't have any money. But I had a few bucks. But I turned around and took to church, and I turned around and put it all in a tithe envelope, and I turned around and I said, "Okay, Lord, I gave you everything I have, just like the widow's mite. Now you have to bless me because you said you would." So that summer I got so many more jobs, cutting lawns and everything like that, and I made more than enough money to buy the train set that I wanted when I was a little kid. And that works all the way up through to my life now. I run into a financial problem. I'm not saying that you should do it this way, but I've always taken money, lack of a better word, and put it in a tithe envelope and said, "God, I'm claiming your promise. Make it happen." And it's faith.
Welcome back.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church is known around the world for its mission outreach.
Want to see how our giving impacts people around the globe? Mission 360 TV programs, Mission Spotlight, and the Mission Quarterlies offer regular updates on mission all around the world.
Adventist Mission has more.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church is known around the world for its mission outreach. And your mission offerings are the workhorse of these efforts. These offerings do the heavy lifting and foundation laying, the repair and renovation of the basic structure of the church's work around the world. Without the mission offerings, all the other structures and systems built upon it could crumble. Your mission offerings are like a life-giving river with tributaries flowing around the world, carrying refreshing water to mission fields. Sometimes we want to give to a specific project, or to put our offerings towards something special that stirs our hearts. We see the results. We feel satisfied. Giving to the mission offering may not be as glamorous as giving to a specific, well-advertised project or program. But wait, if it weren't for mission offering to sustain them, these projects would never happen. So what happens to our tithes and offerings? Well, when we return 10% of our income as tithe to God, the Adventist Church uses it to support pastors and evangelists, as well as some teachers and other workers involved in spreading the gospel. On the front lines of mission, tithe is not used to fund orphanages, schools, or health programs, and it doesn't cover miscellaneous operational expenses either. The mission offering does this. You see, our mission offerings fund what can't be funded through tithe. So when mission giving falls, then work gets cut back worldwide. Mission projects falter. The movement stutters. None of us want this to happen. So our mission offerings help ensure that mission work operates continuously around the world. Want to see how our giving impacts people around the globe? Mission 360 TV programs, Mission Spotlight, and the Mission Quarterlies offer regular updates on mission around the world. These stories take you to dozens of countries to see what Adventists are doing in places you may have never even heard of. And what about the 13th Sabbath offering, which began in 1912? For many years, this offering was an overflow offering. A budget was set to fund the mission program. And once that money was raised, any extra, the overflow, was used to support a special project chosen for that quarter. However, during a recession in the 1970s, there was no overflow offering. So church leaders voted to always send 25% of the offering collected on the 13th Sabbath to support specific projects for each division on a rotational basis. Through your 13th Sabbath offerings, you have helped build schools, dormitories, hospitals, clinics, and church buildings, launched mission boats, and set up lamb shelters, printing presses, universities, and more. Altogether, more than 1,000 projects. And because tithe money can't be used for buildings, the 13th Sabbath offering has frequently been used for construction projects. All of this could have never happened without the Holy Spirit's leading and your regular, faithful support of the mission offerings. We encourage you to join Adventists everywhere to prayerfully consider what you can do to keep a faithful river of mission offerings, bringing life-giving water to mission fields around the world.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org, then click on videos at the top.
As you've probably heard, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency and the Adventist Church are partnering to get 1 million signatures for the Every Child, Everywhere in School education campaign.
1 million is a lot, but Nicole Watson is here to share how you can make a huge difference, starting with just 10.
Hi, my name is Nicole Watson from the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, and I'm here to tell you about the Every Child, Everywhere in School campaign. This global Adventist-led movement is a collaboration between the Adventist Church and ADRA. We want to ensure that every child, everywhere in the world has access to free, balanced, and quality primary and secondary education and completes their education so that they can fulfill their God-given potential. As a proud parent of 2 children, I see the benefits of having my kids in school, more importantly, access to being in school. I know that the education they receive from pre-K to grade 12 will ensure them better lives and opportunities. For this reason, I have signed up for the Every Child, Everywhere in School petition because I care about my kids. I'm not stopping there. Because I signed up, I'm challenging 10 of my family and friends to do the same. So here we go. I challenge Carl, Joan, Erica, Sam, Hurley, Matt, Jennifer, Kimmy, Evelyn, and Michael. All right, I'm counting on you to tag others to do the same. How? Once you've signed the petition at adra.org/inschool, go to facebook.com/joinadra. You'll see this image of our 1 for 10 post at the very top. Share the post, tagging 10 other people to join the movement. You can tag others on Instagram, also at instagram.com/ADRA International. That's it. If you know a child deserving of an education and want the best for them, wouldn't you want to sign up and tell others? I leave that decision to you. Learn more at adra.org/inschool.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Michael Yonker for a look at Adventist history.
This week, the University College of Eastern Africa, Baraton, opens its doors.
On January 28, 1980, the first classes started with 20 students registered for several different courses at what was then known as the University College of Eastern Africa, Baraton, UCEA, or as it is known today as simply the University of Eastern Africa, Baraton, UEAB. The university was formally established through an October 1978 action of the Board of the Afro-Mideast Division on a former animal husbandry research station, which had been granted for the church by the Kenyan government. More recently, it has been accredited by the Commission for Higher Education by the Kenyan government and was first a private university to receive a charter granted by the Republic of Kenya on March 28, 1991. As an institution of higher learning in Kenya, Baraton University is located on a 339-acre tract in the Nandi district about 245 miles from Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. Its students primarily come from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ghana, Zaire, Rwanda, Burundi, India, and even the USA, making it a truly diverse and even international institution of higher learning. The school has proven a blessing to many young people from the Afro-Mission countries, especially those in Eastern Africa, allowing them to enjoy a quality education at an institution promoting an Adventist worldview. Prior to UEAB, since the Adventist faith was first introduced in the general region in 1906 by A.A. Karskalan and E.C. Enns, Adventist students would have had to travel much further to locate an Adventist college. UEAB today has about 55 full-time faculty members who are also international. The university hosts a local research center of the Ellen G. White Estate, providing faculty and students an opportunity to learn about Adventist history. Other academic areas of focus there include programs in business, the social sciences, including theology, music, health sciences, education, and science and technology. Thanks for listening, and that was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details. Feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of John, chapter 15, verses 14 and 15.
The passage says, "You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.